All right, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Opsmaker here. This is going to be your SITREP for Wednesday. It is 4/27/2022, coming to you from the great state of Texas. And without further ado, we will hop on over here to the board. Now, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, bell for notification. And also, if you'd like to be a member, you can do so either via YouTube or via Patreon, and you would be supporting the channel, and we greatly appreciate that. So, all right, so take a look at the board right now. I've got a roll-up going on. This is going to be in Sky Glass, just to kind of show you. This is going to be your heavy lifts, your air refuelers, and the NAs. And I just want to do this to show kind of the flow in general. Notice that everything seems to be very East Coast-centric, and it has been that way for probably about a month now, where a lot of the flows are coming in and out of this. Now, I know Charleston's a pretty big hub for distribution. I also know McDill down in Tampa is also, but a lot of this flow just back and forth is something is interesting. I don't know if they're pre-staging things to go outbound from here, backfilling, replenishment, or what it might be, but for the most part, it is East Coast centric. Now, you're talking almost high noon there, so that would be, you would think the rest of the U.S. would be kind of clicking, and it just seems to be very focused here. So, all right. So as we talk about that, let's get over here real fast. I want to show you this actual watch list. We'll get into this first. We appear to be looking at a lot of stuff, again, a little further north this time, but if you'll notice, that's Belarus right there. That's a bad area, right? So we've got running all the way to the right side or the east side of the Baltic Sea into that northern region again, which would indicate we've got some creep going on in terms of Russian movement and assets that we're watching, okay? Now, the other thing, too, this little E3, notice it's doing that little tight circle. That is man in the middle technology over France. They are grabbing somebody's cell tower data right now, and that is a NATO bird, actually. So, okay. P8 seem to be doing a sortie launch or some type of a surge. We've got 5 or 6 up coming out of Jacksonville. And then we got our balloons right now that are basically, those are military intelligence balloons gathering data on its citizens. All right. So there's going to be the watch list over here to the heavy lift. And I just want to show you, again, the stuff is coming in from across the drink. And that is going to be kind of the main part. And then we've got one C-17 that seems to be headed down. It looks like it landed in Puerto Rico, headed down to Venezuela area. So looks like we've got some stuff moving down there. Now let's get over here to the EU. And you can see we're starting to see a little more of an uptick in terms of assets being replenished into the region. Again, right kind of along that borderline. We're not breaching anything, everything being serviced out of the UK. But you can see we got stuff from Northern Africa over into the Middle East. Looks like we're landing something in Cyprus here. And then that area also up north next to the Baltic Sea. That's up there, not like Latvia. So, again, very interesting. There seems to be a little bit of creep going on up there towards Latvia and Lithuania and up towards that Baltic region. So we'll keep an eye on that, but it looks like the theater is starting to spread out. It's not such a tight, compact region like it was before. Now, get over to the tankers. You can see air refuelers are definitely up to the left of the Black Sea. That's going to put it right in that little area of Moldova. Looks like we got some fighter support in the region. And then if we get over here to the United States, Team 31, that's going to put us here on the east coast of the United States. Looks like we got a little bit of stuff going on to the left of Pennsylvania. They're doing some air refueling, probably fighters up over there. And then we've got, of course, that Team 31 over the D.C. area doing some air refueling also. So, but those would indicate we had some fighters up, all right? So let's back out of this. Let's get over here to our board and just kind of show you. Get out of Sky Glass. Let's get over here to our flight radar. We had 3 firing down here volcano-wise. This is going to be ash alerts. This is Krakatoa, Dukono. Both those are very large volcanoes. If they go, they're going to make a big mess, all right? One heck of a mess. But looks like we dropped one off. And then this area is starting to fire back up again. It had gone quiet for a day or two in our last SITREP. Don't see that very often. But you can see the little things here. Those are ash alerts. letting pilots know not to fly into the area. All right. Over here, too, flashbang schedule. Doesn't look like he's got much going on today. Headed to a funeral for Madeleine Albright. And that is going to be it. Now, let's get over here to marine traffic. I do want to show you a couple things. Notice that the Port of Long Beach is starting to feather out. Only looks like there's about less than a dozen or so parked out here. And these are all getting unloaded, reloaded. A couple oil tankers passing by. But for the most part, very, very light. That is going to thin out, and it's going to kind of segue into an article. Now, Shanghai, that area is still very locked down. I noticed Beijing is actually getting ready to go into lockdown, but if you get into that region again, it is still a lot of stuff. You can see there is some flow going up here a little bit north, but if we get down into this general region, you can see it is starting to, a lot of boats parked still outside of off the shore of China, and this is Shanghai here. But you can see quite a few still parked, thousands actually. There is some movement. My guess is that they are probably working with content that was already there prior to the lockdown, and now it's all starting to kind of free up a little bit. But they're still under lockdown, to my understanding, or very, very limited amount of stuff is moving. And so same thing down here to the south. Not good. And so that kind of segues us over to what they see coming over here on Zero Hedge. Bank of America is sounding the alarm saying that the freight demand is actually collapsing. Well, that's nothing, because the storm isn't even here yet. What we just showed you in Shanghai hasn't hit our shores yet. So once that starts to pop, this is going to free fall. It's going to plummet because there's nothing to unload or move coming from the docks other than stuff that's coming from other countries. But anything coming from China, which is a very large amount, is going to have a very big impact on this. Now, that is a survey that actually covered 44 shippers in the U.S., so that's a pretty good sampling, all right? Okay, now over here to the global military as we start to segue into what's going on. And I'll talk a little bit more about this Blinkin thing, which is a load of rubbish, but I'll show you here in a minute. This is actually global military is spending. This is everybody all combined rolling up, tops $2 trillion for the first time in history. That is everybody. If you look down here in the numbers, China, 293 billion, India, 76 billion, UK, 68 billion, and the U.S. is spending us into oblivion. And so that right there is a pretty good indicator that war is on the horizon. Remember, I always say war is an economy. This is a good indication that they are spending stuff trying to keep things afloat. So, all right, over here to the war zone. Just want to show you, this is a meeting that took place between Blinkin, Austin, and the little man there, Zelensky. And I will tell you, I don't think this actually took place in the Ukraine, even though they put a lot of details into the story. It just doesn't, I just think it's a load of rubbish, I'll be honest with you. You can see there's a lot of detail here. It talks about them not seeing very much of it as they traveled, according to ABC, because coming from a State Department official who said the shades on the windows blacked out most of the view, had everything pulled down. No, it's probably because you're in a warehouse in the middle of Germany. That's why you couldn't see much. But hey, listen, it's all about optics. And I'm going to show you why. I'll back it up, why I think this is just a complete load of rubbish, okay? And so here again, U.S. State Department talks about them traveling to Ukraine. But let's kind of look at Kiev, because this is where they went to, all right? Kiev is the capital of Ukraine. It is controlled by Russia, all right? In the middle, these are mountains, okay? This is right slap in the middle of Ukraine, which is a war zone, all right? Now, you mean to tell me that the Soviets, or the Russians, who control that city and who are at war with Ukraine and they got a target on Zelensky's head, and the dude's going to roll in there. You know they didn't fly because Russia controls the airspace. So there is no way in God's green earth they flew into that spot. Also, Belarus is not friendly to us. That's why we're running routes here outside of Belarus and not over Belarus, okay? So then even if you were by car, this is like a day trip to get out here, okay? Remember, Ukraine is like the size of Texas. And so To get halfway across Texas, you could easily spend 8 to 10 hours driving. Now, you mean to tell me they put in a convoy that didn't get hit or struck? Because if you go rolling in a convoy with a bunch of high-value people in it, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb in a war zone. And I'm not buying it. 100% not buying it. I think it's a load of rubbish. If it was right here on the border, I'd say, maybe they breached the border just to, stick a flag in the ground and act like, they were the big man on campus. But right in the middle of all of this, with this being Russian pro Belarus, I don't buy it. Okay. And so let me just show you this right here, this red around this is Kiev. The red zones are Russian controlled. All right. This is a Donbass region. These are Donbass regions. Okay. These are areas. Remember, Chernobyl was the nuclear power plant they said was overtaken by the Russians. They control Kiev. That's why that is red around it. All right. And that is the capital. I think it is just a complete a load. And so let me back up here. I'm going to see if I can pull this story in, and this is what I'm going to show you. This is Austin talking about the U.S. vowing to move heaven and earth, bolstering Ukraine defense. And so this was a picture taken at a meeting in Ramstein, Germany, the day they were supposed to be over in Kiev. Okay. Now, notice that there were allies from 40 nations that met at the U.S. base in Germany to bolster Kiev's defense. Folks, I'm telling you, that is where they were. They never went to Ukraine. I will bet my life on it. All right. Also, Zelensky, I don't believe, is in Ukraine because he would be already dead. I think he is in Poland. He's in a safe place. And he is basically, this is all optics. And he went from Poland to Germany, no problem, because the dude's not going to be traveling out of his presidential palace via helicopter. Anything getting in the sky is getting shot down. Like I said, Russia controls the airspace. So I think Blinkin is completely full of bull. All right. As is Austin. All right, let's get over here real fast. I just want to show you the flights rolling back and forth. I do see one here in Europe. That is an Atlas Air bird. This is Kaleta bird, moving some assets. And remember, we are still making big deliveries over there. And so that looks to be, and notice it is also right up on the border of Ukraine. This is Belarus. This is Ukraine. This is right here. So it looks like they're probably bringing in some of that artillery. That's a 747-400, carries some very large equipment. All right. Okay. This is going to be your cyber attack, just so you can see. U.S. is still getting peppered, but it looks to be equal kind of back and forth today. So that is going to be probably another phase of this war. It'll probably happen this way before it goes hot on anything else. I would imagine they'll continue to attack each other's assets. Notice there's a couple little pulses here in Russia, but nothing compared to the U.S. All right. All right. Now, this is one that just kind of stokes the fire. The UK is now saying they back Ukraine's right to attack Russian territory. Let's see. Kremlin is now warning London of proportional response. This could potentially be something that makes us go hot. I think that if the Ukraine starts to strike inside of Russia, it'll be with the help of UK and the United States, and that's probably what's going to suck us into this war if it's not somebody flying over a no-fly zone and getting popped like NATO. We'll wait and see what happens, but that just stokes the fire, okay? All right, look at the air flights coming out of Biggs Army Airfield. Again, this was a location where we were pushing a lot of immigration in, as well as a lot of flights going both sides of the drink. This has been very quiet for weeks now. I don't see anything coming inbound or outbound into Biggs Army Airfield, okay? All right. Now, which to me is a little bit strange on the Biggs thing because that is a big artillery place, and you would think they would be moving artillery out of there and providing it to the Ukraine because we just gave them $800 million worth of artillery stuff in the latest package. So doesn't look like that is where it's coming out of, or it's already there, or it was pre-positioned somewhere else. But anyway, this is going to be Fort Dix. This is Lakehurst, New Jersey. We got an Atlas Air coming up from Miami. Looks like it's taking some equipment over to Ramstein. air base in Germany. And then this is a camber flight. More than likely, that is going to be a Coletta flight as well, headed to the UK. And that's probably a troop carrier. Could be moving stuff, but the fact that it's a camber flight makes me believe that it's probably troop related. All right. Okay. Speaking of camber flights, just kind of show you what we've got. We've got four of them actually, departing from Ramstein, Travis, this place in Newfoundland, and then Norfolk, Virginia, all airborne headed out. These are big birds, 747-400s, 777s, and 757-200, which would indicate troop movement. All right. So continuing on with that, this is going to be the Brits and their troop movement. So you can see still pushing a lot of assets into that region. Again, Ukraine right here. Looks like they're pushing some folks down here. We've been going in and out of Sofia Air Base quite a bit lately. So, okay. So we'll talk about that a little more, but you can see the Brits and the U.S. seem to be the two top tiers that are engaged in this effort. Now, this is going to be the Ruskies, and I'm going to click over here because they only have one flight currently en route right now, flying out of St. Petersburg and headed kind of in the direction of Moscow. It's at 28,900 feet, clicking along at about 518 knots. Looks to be just kind of getting to altitude. So no telling where that's going, but that's going to be a dignitary, somebody, a staff position or something in Russia. All right. All right. Over here to the Navy. Just to show you what we've got going on here, we've got one rolling out of Carswell Field. That is departing, looks to be headed towards Seattle. This is going to be logistics birds. And then this one here on the other side of the drink coming out of the Middle East. All right. Okay. Last up is Omni. More than likely troops, but this could also be moving some folks in terms of immigrants. Okay. Probably that last one right there is more than likely immigrant related, going from Atlanta Hartsfield to Los Angeles. But this other one here coming out of Japan, actually looks like we've got two of them coming out of Japan. So those are probably coming back empty. They probably just brought some troops in, if I had to guess. They could be bringing them back and forth, doing a replen. But anyway, so that is where we are. Let's get over here to let's see, Open ADSB Exchange, about 320 aircraft up. You can see a couple. These are Canadian birds up here. That's an A310, and it looks to be an air refueler, if I'm not mistaken. And then you got this little CL60 kind of following suit right behind it, but hard to tell from that picture. Let me look at it a little closer. See, we got a boom on the back. No, we don't. So no, it's not an air refueler. That is. No telling what that is. Could be Trudeau. Never know. But those two look to be following each other. And then we've got one coming out here out of the Venezuela area. Actually, no, that's not Venezuela. That is Cheyenne or Cayenne. And that's a French bird. So a little bit of activity down south, not too much. Again, a lot of congestion here with trainers. Along the East Coast too, very, very hopping on the East Coast. Trainer congestion here, and here. So, all right, over here at TFRs real fast, just to make sure we're not missing anything. I do see a lot of fires going on out here in the Midwest. 'Tis the season. Senior Living Center, Brown Zone is still, that's permanent. Looks like we've got an air show down here in Vero Beach, kind of. Now, I did hear reports yesterday that we had F-35s taking off doing some touch and goes out of Patrick Air Force Base, which is definitely unique. Don't see them down there very often. Probably tied to this air show, if I had to guess. And then we got space operations going on. Other than that, all these little blue chiclet boxes are power outages, green are flooding, and yellow is a power outage too. Same thing with this one. It's a little more of a hue of orange. When it gets to red, that means there's a big or a larger group impacted by power outages. And if it's blue, it's just peppered, small amounts. So, all right, listen, that's going to be our sit rep for today. You guys, listen, things are getting interesting. We have not yet seen the effects of this supply shortage. And so it is, just keep your eye on it. And this is the time to make some preparations because you want to get ahead of that. You don't want to be doing that right in the middle of the storm, trying to find stuff because it's not going to be a good time to do it. So, all right, that's it. Listen, you guys be safe out there. Keep that powder dry. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworxus.com.